in our math placement test exam. First of all, you have to go to your course, right? In the Blackboard, your course from your Blackboard is called MBT, Placement Test Preparation, right? Okay, here you have the 5 session or 5 parts to have the question in the exam, right? Take it one by one, right? But before you start any part to solve the question, you have to get the knowledge, right? After you have the knowledge, you have the choice for Alex questions or the self-check already prepared for you down here, right? Let's go for this one. I'll go straight forward for this one, right? And show you how to solve, how to get the knowledge and start solving, right? Okay. Now, you have something called scientific notation. In the scientific notation, you have to know we have the scientific notation. Okay. What is the scientific notation? Scientific notation, normally we write the standard one, the standard notation. We use a standard notation most of the time. Like what? If you write 1 million, you write it like this. Okay. And instead of this one, it's easy to write it 1 times 10 to the power 6, right? Sometimes this is a big number, so the power up here will be positive. But if you have a number like this, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, okay? This is 1 times 10 to the minus what? Yes, minus 5. Because this is equivalent to what? 1 over 100,000, right? Is it correct? Okay. So you can write in the scientific notation, which is very easy and very handy, but under one condition. What is the condition for this one? The condition is your scientific notation is A times 10 to N, right? A must be greater than or equal to 1, but less than 10. It is not acceptable to have such one, say 23, 10 to the power 3. It's not acceptable. This one is not acceptable. Must be less than 10. What I'm going to do, I have to go to the decimal places over here. So the decimal place was here. So I move it 1 to the left. Okay. So I increase this one by 1. So I can write this one 2.3 times 10 to the power 4. Okay. This is a proper scientific notation. Okay. If you have a bigger than one number, you have this one positive. But if you have a smaller one like this one, you have the power negative. This is the scientific notation. The calculator will help you so much in this case, right? Let's go for this question. By the calculator can be done it, right? And so if you have a calculator, you can do this one. Let's make it smaller. So how you can solve this one? By the calculator. I'm not going to not to go in details, right? But the first one is not acceptable because you have 33, which is bigger than 10. And the third one also is not acceptable because you have also 33. So you are between 3.392 times 10 to the power 8 and the other one the same here times 10 to the 5. So which one you are going to go? Without thinking, I have 10 to the power 3 when it is multiplied by 10 to the power 4, I will have 10 to the power 7. Okay? So in this case, I should have a power bigger than 7. So the right choice is this one. Okay? Let's go for another question. Yeah. Here, this is a standard notation. Okay? How to transfer this one into the scientific notation? Let's change the color. Okay? This is 0.00. I am going to move the decimal. How many zeros I have? I have 6. Okay? And 7, 2, 4. So I have to move this one up to the first digit here, the first integer, right? So I move it how many one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I should have 10 to the minus 7. Why minus? Because this small number less than 1, right? And then writing the rest, I put the decimal place here, so I put it here, 2, 4. So the right answer is yes, number 3. Okay, I will let you go through this session, this self-check, and to finish the 8 question, right? I'll go back to go for the second part. Okay. Okay. So to go to the second part, I finish the scientific notation. I'll go for the self-check for algebraic model and exponent, right? What does it mean, algebraic model? Algebraic model is you have a word problem and you would like to transfer it into equation, right? So this one, Joe gets paid 50 dirham. You have a keywords in this case. Don't go to solve without going through the keywords. What does it mean, keywords? I have, he paid 50 and it means plus, right? Per hour. So plus 90. The word per, it means you multiply each hour by 90. So this is the algebraic expression, right? Okay. Easy? Okay. Let's go for the, you can go through the algebraic model. Physicists will call it algebraic model for this scenario, right? For the next one, you have the power rule. In this case, you should know what does it mean, the power rule, right? The power rule, you should know x to the m, when you multiply by x to the n, you should have the same base, right? You, in this case, you add the two exponent or power together. But when you divide it, you subtract the upper power minus the lower power, right? What else you have? When you have two power, x to the power m to the power n, you will have x to the power m times n. Okay? What else? Yes, I know if I have negative power, it's not acceptable. So this, you get it, change this one and get it down to be positive. If you have it down and negative, you get it up to be positive. Okay? So you change the position of the base of negative exponent. If it is down, get it up to be positive exponent, and if it is up, you get it down to be positive. This is the power rules. Okay, so I'm using the first rule to add, I have the same base x x x x, so I add the power 2 plus 4 plus 1, so I have x to the power 7, right? Okay, so this is the right answer. Okay, I'll go to the next question. Yeah, here is the second rule. I gave it to you. When you have two power to the power, okay, what you are going to do, you just multiply it. So you have 2 to the power 3 and x to the power 3 to the power 3, it will be x to the power 3 times 3, which is 9, and here y to the power 12. I think in the formula sheet in the exam, you have the power rules, right? So you can, if you forget it, you can check it in the formula sheet. Now I have a multiplication, but I have different base. I cannot add the power over here, so you leave it as it is. But 2 to the power 3 is not in my choice, but I know 2 to the power 3 is 8. 2 to the power 3, it means 2 times 2 times 2, 3 times, right? So this is the right answer. Do I have to go in details in my placement test? No need, right? Why? I'm going to exclude the wrong answer, right? So I know 2 to the power 3 will be 8. So I am between the first choice and the third choice, right? I'm not going to go for the number 2 or number 4. So if you know how to exclude the wrong answer, you can have less option for the correct answer, right? So x to the power 3 to the power 3, x to the power 9. So one is not acceptable, the third one is acceptable, right? So you have to revise the power rule before you start solving this one, right? Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back. Okay. For my self-check. Okay. So now I can go for the other part. So I finish this session in one of the first part, right? So I can go for the other section. I finish the scientific notation. I go for the set and Venn diagram, right? Also, before I solve the question, the self-question over here, I should have some knowledge about the Venn diagram, right? So Venn diagram is a closed curve, whatever it is, triangle, rectangle, it doesn't matter, right? You put elements over here. This is a way of representing a set, okay? So Venn diagram, when you have two sets, A and B, the common element is called A and B, or the intersection, right? But if you have A and B and you take everything and the repeated part, you write it only once, this is, you call it A or B. You have very special case here. What is the special case? If I have B at the part of A, okay? Do we write it B subset of A, right? So in this case, A and B will be the smaller one because the common between A and B is B. But A union B, in this case, when I take everything, has already B inside. So the union أو الاتحاد is A, the bigger one, right? Sometimes you have this case when you have A disjoint from B, right? So A and B in this case is nothing. Nothing mean the empty set, phi. Sometimes they write it phi like this or write the set empty set like this, okay? And you have something else called the complement, right? So when I have A minus B, so this is B part of A, so B minus, sorry, A minus B is what's left outside B, right? Okay. We have something called universal set, the universal set. Universal set is a big set including everything inside, right? Any set is in here, right? So if I have A here, I have the universal set up here. What is outside this set, what is left from the universal set, is called a complement. Sometimes they write it like this, or they write it A, C, and as exponent, right? A complement is the universal set minus A. If I would like to have B complement, it will be the universal set minus B, and etc. Right? Let's go and solve some question about this one, and I let you complete the rest of this one. This is how it works to get your revision very quick, right? Yes, I will talk about the rational and irrational. Okay, let's talk about the number set. The number set, you have the natural number. This is, they call it natural number. Natural number. The natural number set is 1, 2, 3, etc. If you add 0 to this one, we call it the whole number. The whole number. If you have positive and negative, we call this one integer, and the notation, the integer. If you have two integer, one in the numerator and one in the denominator, بسط مقام. So B, Q are integers, and the denominator will never be zero. المقام عمره ما يكون zero في الراشونال. تمام. The rational, sometimes they call it the quotient. This is why, or quotient. This is why they call it by this notation Q, right? So it is fair enough to say every integer is rational, every whole number is rational, every natural number is rational, because n inside w inside z and z inside the rational, right? So every one of these is inside rational. Do you have something called irrational? Yes. We have very special values where we cannot. Can you write by equal? No, we write by approximately 3.141. If you stop, it's okay, 3 decimal places. Also E, we write it approximately equal to 2.71, blah, blah, blah. If you stop in 2 decimal places, it's fine. Also the roots, root square 2, you write it roughly 1.41, right? But be careful with the root. If you see any E, it is irrational. Any by will be irrational. But for the root, if I write for you minus root square 16, it is minus 4. Minus 4 is an integer. And I said any integer is what is rational. So, but root square 2, when you put it in your calculator, you will have decimal. So to check your root is rational or irrational, use your calculator. If you have a decimal, it is irrational. If you have an integer like this one, will be rational. Okay, so 2.54 is rational because I can write 2.54 as 254 over 100. Okay, the next one, minus 7, is rational because I can write minus 7 over 1. Okay. Once I see by, without thinking, 6 by is irrational because I cannot say equal, right? Irrational. But all of this one is rational. Okay. Next, yeah, this is the example I just give it to you. This one, be careful. Not every root is irrational. Use your calculator. Once you have this one, I know this integer, and every integer is already rational. Okay. Without going in details. The last one, root square 3, use your calculator. Yes, you have a decimal here, 1.6, blah, blah, blah here. So once you have decimal, this is irrational. And I know this is irrational from the beginning. But if I have a big one, like root square 21, yeah, you cannot have, you will have it as 4.5, blah, 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 right? So it is, I cannot write for irrational equal. So this is a mistake, right? You write it approximately, right? So with the root, to be rational, irrational, use your calculator. If you have a decimal, it will be irrational. I will leave the rest for you, right? Okay. You can go for another example here, right? This set 0, 1, 2, we call it what? Whole number, right? This is negative and positive, we call it what? Integers. So you have to know the names of this set. This set is a natural number, right? Okay. So your problem will be the English names for this one. For each below expression, choose the correct translation. X greater than 3. Yeah. What do you call it? Yes, X exceed. because the word greater than is exactly like exceed. X less than, yes, you can say X is less than. It's very clear. Here, X greater than or equal to 3, here you can say at least. Yeah, so greater than or equal, and less than or equal, greater than or equal is at least, less than or equal is at most, right? You have to know this expression. Here we write this one is approximately, right? So your problem will be only to know the concept in the English, right? For this one, without thinking, which one is a rational number? Once I see pi, it is irrational. Be careful because the words are very close. Okay, so the first one is irrational, the second one is rational. Yeah, if I'm get confused between root square 12, I use it by the calculator, give me decimal, so it will be irrational. So the first one and the third one, irrational, and also the fourth one is irrational because if I use the calculator for minus root square 10, it gives you decimal. So the only rational is the second one, 7.23, right? Now, yeah, this is, we call it interval. The interval, yeah, when you use the parentheses like this, it means this, if I stop at, say, like here, minus 3, it means minus 3 is not included, right? Up to positive infinity. So you can write it minus 3 and infinity like that. And also infinity, we use this one, right? So the right answer is 3, okay? But when you use a square bracket, it means it's included, right? Now, yeah, I didn't tell you about this round number, 53.14, and you have bar here. It means this 14 is repeated many times, right? So you keep having 1, 4 up to the infinity. But it's still what? Still rational, right? Still rational number because I have equal over here, right? Minus root square 36? No, root square 36 is 6, so minus 6 is irrational. Okay? 2.1. This is a scientific notation I told you just a few minutes ago. To the power 3. Okay? This is rational without thinking, right? Okay. Now, I will solve the last one and let you go, right? Here, yeah, when you have interval notation like this one, minus 3 is not included, but 6 is included. So, yeah, x will be bigger than minus 3 without equal, but here I less than or equal to 6 because I use the square bracket when I have equal. I have the normal parentheses when I don't have equal, right? That's it? Okay, let's go. Let's go to see what's left. So I finished the first session, the first section, sorry. Okay. I can go again. I finished the scientific notation and said when. So I finished the first part, real number systems, right? Now I'll go for ratio and proportion and properties, right? Proportion, sorry. I don't have a self-check here. Okay, let's go for this one and see. But also, you don't have a self-check. Don't worry, because this one is easy way. I will give you an idea about this one. When you said the female, the ratio of the female to the word to, I used this 2 dot to male is exactly like 5 to or 50 to 30, right? You can write this one as a proportion, or you can write it 50 over 30. It means a female with respect to the male. But this is not the point. The point where I am going to use this proportion in the map, right? You know Talabat. If the Talabat going, you keep tracing him where is it roughly. Maybe this is my flat, and he's coming this way, right? Delivery coming to this way, right? This is the delivery man, right? If you guess, this map is not the real distance, right? But if you have 1 centimeter in the map, it depends on the proportion of the scale your map. So sometimes we said every centimeter in the map corresponding to how many centimeters? 100 million, for example, right? So you have 100 million, okay? So if you are given the distance, say 3 centimeter in the map, this is the map, this is a real distance, right? And you would like to see the real distance. Let us x, use the cross product here, so x will be 3 times. And instead of, you can write it in scientific notation. 10 to the power what? How many zero you have here? 8, so yes, 1 times, okay? So this is the real distance. If you are given the opposite side, if you are given the real distance, he gave it to you 3 times 10 to the power 5. What is the distance in the map? Let us call it x, right? So you can get x by the cross product. So x will be 3 10 to the power 5 over 10 to the power 8. So for sure, the distance in the map will be very small, but the real distance will be very big, right? This is a proportion, this is a ratio, right? This is how to use it. Sometimes they give you between 3 things, right? If you are comparing 3 campuses, say Ras Al Khaimah and Sharjah and Dubai, right? And you said this is the proportion between all of these one, okay, like this one, okay? If I know the number of students in Iraq, I can know the other number of students in the other campuses, right? Say, or in Sharjah, if I know the Sharjah one, say I have 1,350 in Sharjah, for example, right? I can use X here to have Dubai. I can use X here to have the Ras Al Khaimah. Okay, so this is how to find using the proportion. What is up to the proportion, you can find the real value, right? Okay, I will leave this part for you. Okay, there is no question over here, but I show you 2 examples, right? Now I finished first section and second section, right? Let's go for the statistics. Statistics, you have to know the knowledge. Measure of central tendency. What is the measure of central tendency? I let you know what is the central tendency measurement. Central tendency measurement. They call it mean, the mean, or sometimes they call it average, just not to be confused. This is the average. It's the same as mean. You sum the data and divide it by the number of data, right? And the other one, they call it median. And the last one, we call it the mode. This is the central tendency measure. What does it mean, the central tendency measure? They measure in the center here, right? So it gives you the peak, okay? Because this is your data over here, and here you represent the frequency. What is the frequency? The frequency, how many times each data repeated, right? So if all the central tendency measurement, this is, we use this symbol for the sample mean. We call it the sample mean, right? But for the population, we use this notation. This is, we call it the population mean. What is the difference between sample and population? Sample is a part of the population. Catch it? Okay. So, but the same formula, right? And the mode is the easy one to do because it is valid for the quantitative data and qualitative data. What is quantitative data? Anything you can measure or count, like the height, the weight, the number of family members, the number of students, anything with number is counted, so it is quantitative. Anything can be measured, like height, weight can be measured. Don't think as a number, because you have a mobile number as a number, but it's not quantitative, it is qualitative, because you cannot make any math operation. You cannot add mobile number to the mobile number, right? Okay. Now, the mode is the only one valid for quantitative and qualitative data. They call it the most frequent element. الأكثر تكرار, the most frequently element. So I will see which one is repeated more than the others. Maybe you have one mode, no mode sometimes, if all of your data is different, nothing repeated. Or maybe you have unique mode if you have only one repeated more than the others. You may have multi mode if you have 2 or 3 repeated with the same number of repetition, right? So the mode is not trustable because maybe you have no mode or one mode or two mode or three mode multi. It's okay. How to find it is easy. Just catch which one is repeated more than the others, right? But remember, you may have no mode if your data are completely different from each other. Okay. You may have one if you have one at the highest repetition of than the others, right? Okay. Maybe you have two if you have two values repeated with the same number of repetition or the frequency you say. Okay. But to have the median, no, in the median you have to sort out ترتب البيانات بتاعتك. Okay. When I'm ordering my data first to have the median, I cancel out one from here, one from here, one from here. I'm lucky because this is the median because I have odd number of data, right? But if you have even number of data, if you cancel out, sorry, if you order them, sorry, okay, it's a mistake, okay. If you order them like this, and they are even numbers, so you have two in the middle. None of them are the median, but you have, if this is 5, this is 7, you add 5 plus 7 and divided by 2, this will be the median, right? So if you have even number of data, the median will be the average of the middle 2. But if you have a number of data odd, so we now know how to find the mean using the calculator. How to use the calculator to have the mean if I have raw data like 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. I go for my calculator, press mode, press stat, which is in this case is number 3. Go for one variable. Okay, you will have only one column. If you have two columns, X and F, you have to deactivate the frequency, and I will show you if you need, right? I press 2, press equal, 3 equal, 4 equal, 5 equal, 7 equal. Once you finish inputting your data, go and press AC key and then shift and 1. Okay. Why shift and 1? Because over 1 you have something called stats, right? When you press shift and 1, go back for choose variable, one variable, right? You will have a window if you press this one. I'm not sure, it is number 4, I think. Yeah. So you have X bar. This is the mean. Okay. And you have sigma X and SX. SX, they call it the standard deviation, And this is also the standard deviation. What is the difference between this one? This is for the population. If he's saying population, this is for the sample standard deviation. Okay. And you have N here. This is the number of data. So now we are interested to have this one, which is number 2. Press number 2 and press equal, you will get the mean. This is in the case of you have raw data, right? Okay. This is I go through the central tendency measurement, and you can solve any question regarding this one. You can go for Alex and try the questions in Alex. How many part I finish right now? I finish 3 part, which is so far so good. Now I'll go for the algebra, which is the biggest one, right? Yes, this is the biggest one. So be careful with this one. Solving linear equation and special products and okay. Let's go for linear equation. If you have self-check one, let's go for the self-check one. But to go to the linear equation, you have to have an idea about the linear equation. When I have a linear equation, it means I will never have root square or root square for the variable or square of the variable, cube of the variable. So linear equation, like the line equation. This is why we call it linear equation. So we have a line. So any line have this part, we call it the y-intercept. If you call it B, as the calculator do, sorry, A, if you, as a calculator do, that's okay. And you have something called slope. Slope is the opposite over the adjacent. Opposite over the adjacent for this angle, right? Which is the same as this angle with the x-axis, right? So this is the slope of any equation, any linear slope equal to the opposite over the adjacent. Sometimes they call it the run over the rise, right? So this is the slope. Slope will be positive if you're going from the left to right and you're going up. The slope is negative when you go from the left to right. So the slope is negative here. Slope is negative, okay? But if you have a parallel to x-axis, the slope here, slope equal to 0, right? Okay, but if you have a vertical line like this one, you have a slope undefined. Okay, but this is, we call it horizontal line. So the horizontal line has a slope equal to 0. The vertical line had a slope undefined, right? Okay, how to find the slope if you have 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2. The slope, they call it m from the mountain. This is the slope. You just have the difference between the y over the difference of x, right? So this is how, if you get the slope positive, it means your line is going up from left to right. If it is negative, you go down. If it is 0, it is horizontal line. Okay. If it is undefined, it will be vertical line. What does it mean, undefined? When you have the difference of y over the difference of x, you have 0 down here. So say you have 5 or 8 or whatever over 0. This is what will make it undefined, right? This is what will make the slope undefined, because you cannot divide it by 0. And you will have math error when you use your calculator, right? Now I go through the line equation in a very quick way, right? But if you have a linear equation like this in one variable, 2x plus 3 equal to 7, and you find the x, just move this one or subtract 3 from both sides to get rid of the anything added, you subtract it. Anything subtracted, you add it. Or it is better to say move to the other side. When you move to the other side, you have to change the sign. If it is positive, it's becoming negative. 2x equal to 4. You would like to have 2 is multiplied, so you get rid of it by division. So x will be 2, right? X will be 2. This is how to find the solve the one variable linear equation. Sometimes they're asking you, say, a plus 2b equal to 5, and say solve this equation for a. Solve for whatever, keep it in one side. So I will keep a here and move this one here. So it will be 5 minus 2b. This is how to solve for A. If he said no, solve for B, solve for B, A plus 2B equal to 5. In this case, I will keep B in one side. So I have to move A. So I have 2B equal to 5 minus 2B. Now I'm looking for only, minus A. I'm looking for B only. How to get B? I have to get rid of the 2. 2 is multiplied, so I get rid of it by dividing. So B will equal to 5 over 2 minus A over 2, right? Okay, or you can write it like this. So remember, solve for whatever, keep this one in one side, okay, to be, this is I give very quick revision for the linear equation, right? So let's go for this one. When you are given an equation and ask you to calculate something, you plug in the number. That's it. If you make 56 minutes, so M, okay, the symbol for minutes here, all right. Okay, it's 2 dirham per minute. This is why. This is an algebraic expression, right? This is an algebraic expression for C. But he's asking you to calculate if he give you one of the undetermined here. So he give you 56. 56 is for what? Minutes. Minutes here in the question is the time, is M, donated by M. So I'm going to just substitute here. So the cost will be 45 plus 2 and plug M by 56 and calculate this one and write it down. In the other way, no. He give you in dirham. What is in dirham? This is a fixed fee, right? Okay, 45, and this is the cost. So in this time, he gave you the cost 345, which is equal to 45 plus 2m. He's asking you how many minutes, right? So you are looking for, as I told you, that this is linear equation in one variable. Move this one to the other side. Now this is exactly 300. Now you would like to get m. So you divide it by 2. So m will be 150 minutes, right? I leave the rest for you. Now I have to go because I have another session. If you would like to stay with me with the other session, because it's belong to the revision as well, right? Okay. Thank you so much. See you on Friday if you would like to leave.